Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a different kind of Spawn Wave Plus episode where I'm going to start doing this for certain products and different little projects that I have that wouldn't necessarily be like a full tech wave that's going on. So these videos plus some of the talking videos and stuff going over different bits of news. And this is going to end up rolling into a full tech wave down the road, but I got it in and I wanted to take a look at it and clean it up a bit. And this is going to be part of a PC that I'm going to build from like 2006. So I guess it'd technically be like a retro gaming PC then. But this is an Nvidia card that I really wanted way back in the day, around the time that the Xbox 360 had come out and we were rolling into the PS3 and Wii. I really wanted this new Nvidia card, and it was incredibly expensive at the time. And I mean, I guess what else is new with Nvidia, but not quite on the level of what we see where it's like $1,500, but still it was like several $100s. And this is, which I'll open it up here. Let's see, it is a GeForce 7900 GTX, and it's a 17-year-old card technically now. And what I needed to do today was at least repaste it and look around the card a bit. I got this one, of course, off of eBay. Like, where else would you go to get a 7900 GTX? And interesting enough, it is EVGA. So a bit of nostalgia there since they're technically out of the GPU game. But the nice thing about these cards as opposed to current cards is they're fairly simplistic. At least to get apart, we just really have to pull the cooler off and we could take a look at how that paste is looking. The nice thing though is this card's not that dirty, so I assume whoever sold it to me on eBay probably at least took the time to run some compressed air through the vents in the fan. But in this case, there's just a bunch of small Phillips head screws around here holding the large cooler on, and this is holding the bracket that's putting pressure on the die. And then I'm pretty sure we have some screws that are kind of just hanging around here for the bracket. So as I mentioned, this was 2005 when I was hearing that Nvidia was going to have these really nice cards coming up, like the 7000 series. And we still got a lot of rumors and stuff online back then, just like we do now. Not as fast-paced, I guess, since we have social media and Twitter and all of this flying all over the place, which is also a way for fake rumors to spread very quickly. But nonetheless, end of 2005, beginning of 2006, I had an Nvidia 6600 GT, which I remember getting because my old Nvidia FX 5200 would not play Titan Quest very well at all. So I was already pretty excited about the 6600 GT, which was a whole thing on its own because I had to get one of those power adapters to plug into the card. That was the first time I experienced that situation, which you can see was still rolling along here. I ended up having to get a Molex to PCI Express power plug at that time, because even power supplies, not very common to have those. So I think I got all the screws I need off of here. Of course, I have a little fan connector there. Let's do a little wiggle. There we go, came right off. You know what? That's actually not bad. I mean, the compound is completely dry. It's a 17-year-old card. I'd kind of expect it to have dried out at least a bit. But otherwise, these pads are all still have some moisture to them and everything. Like, they're not like dried up and brittle. I feel like I should be able to reuse all these RAM pads. I'll just have to put this one back on here. I mostly just need to clean this guy up, but I mean, that board is pretty clean, all things considered. Again, for the age of this card, I guess at least the person did a pretty good job cleaning it up. Even the padding under this guy, like this little passive heatsink, looks pretty good. I can see it still kind of smushing out the side. So I had mentioned I did want this card back when it came out because the benchmarks were crazy for it back then. Of course, it being the top of the line card. I mean, we were not aiming heavily for a 1080p at that time is kind of like how we look at 4K currently, where you had these top of the line cards that were able to at least approach it and do some games like that, but it wasn't a common thing that a lot of cards did, right? Or at least well. So in this case, when this was coming out, I was real excited about it. Never got my hands on it. In fact, I ended up going from the 6600 GT up to the 8800 GTX, with which to this day I think still my favorite video card of all time. That was an awesome card. I had the one that had like the person on the front holding their head. It kind of looked like a Breaking Benjamin cover, album cover or something. But that card was killer. Still though, the 7900 when it was around was a monster, and it's what I wanted to get from this era when I was gonna build out this like retro gaming PC. I mean, even the cooler is pretty good. You can see like the large copper plate here. We have kind of two sets of fins, aluminum fins with the copper or the pipes running out and around here. I mean, that is a serious cooler for this guy. I remember we did have some power issues back in the day with the 7000 series. And I think we also had like, they would make like whining noises and stuff. There was a lot going on with these guys back in the day. We've always had video card issues. But hopefully this one, I know it's older, but hopefully this one performs well enough with some of the games I'll throw at it. What's funny, in my time working on systems and electronics, I've only ever had to work on 2 video cards, I think. One was the weird design that Nvidia did with, I feel like it was the 690. They tried to put 2 GPUs on one board. I'm pretty sure it was someone can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm pretty sure it was the 690. And one of the GPUs went bad on this person's card. And at the time, this thing was crazy expensive, right? It was only out for like a year and a half or something. So I ended up having to reball their GPU, and that actually fixed it. So yeah, even video cards at that time, probably even still now, had issues with like the ball grid array under the GPU, similar to the Xbox 360 and the PS3. There we go. Nice little bead of thermal paste. The die is not very large. Don't really need much technically. You know, it's really funny, as I'm putting this heatsink back down and getting ready to screw it in, probably would have been interesting to measure temperatures with the cooler and paste that was on there and had stayed on there for 17 years and then changed out, see if there's any serious or noticeable difference in temperature. But maybe that's a video down the road where I try to find like a 20-year-old GPU and see if going from the old stock, the stock thermal paste that's been on there for so long to like Arctic Silver 5 or MX4 would do anything for temperatures. I assume it would, but to be able to get like readings for it could be fun. Or maybe I can try to find that dual GPU Nvidia card again. I wonder how expensive that is. Now, I mean, it's old in PC years, but technically it's not that old, I guess. But I'm tightening down the bracket here, of course, going in like a diagonal pattern just to make sure we have even pressure as it's screwing in. I don't know, let me know if you guys would want to see some weird graphics card videos, try to do SLI from back in the day, or maybe play around with some of the different AMD cards. But this one came together pretty well. Even looking at the fan when it was apart, I mean, it is fairly clean. So, hey, awesome stuff from the person who sold this to me on eBay. A 7900 GTX 512 megabytes of, should be GDDR3 memory for this time period. I won't be able to test it right now. I have a lot of the parts actually that have come in. You know what the hardest thing is to find from this time period that can ship to me with a reasonable price is the case. The casings back then that we put our motherboards, all that stuff, right? Super expensive to ship because they were all tanks. They're all super heavy and they had some really weird and out there designs at times. But I will be following up on this as we get closer and I'm able to put everything together within reason, and we'll load up Windows XP and some games of that time period and see exactly what we were dealing with back then. But let me know what you guys thought about this down below. I have a lot of little projects like this and some other fun ideas that, again, wouldn't necessarily make a full tech wave, but I think could be kind of cool as some extra side content for the Spawn Wave Plus channel. Thanks guys for watching. I'll see you next time.